What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, back with some more boxing. So, a lot of great fights coming on Saturday, and I figured I'd start by getting some of my predictions out there, just because I'm not like some of you guys who wait for the fight to happen, then all of a sudden you're like, I told you so. Like, I don't do that. For the big fights, I try to always get my prediction out of there, right or wrong. Um, at the end of the day, I don't really care when I'm wrong because I usually have a good account of myself, and I don't bash a fighter to the point where like, oh, they have no chance if they really have a chance. The only time I get extreme is if I really, honestly, truly, in my heart of all hearts, feel they don't have a chance. So I feel I'm pretty balanced when it comes to predictions. I've been wrong, I've been right. So I want to give my prediction on the Joseph Agbeko fight versus Rigondeaux fight. Very intriguing. Um, this is an intriguing fight because we have Agbeko, who is definitely no pushover. He shows he's tough. He's good all around in just terms of punching power, in terms of his resume. Just all around solid fighter, real solid. Um, and then you have Rigondeaux, who's coming off of a master class performance against Nonito Donaire. A lot of people didn't really give him credit. His own promoters, Top Rank, Bob Arum, HBO, kind of turned their backs. The networks didn't really want to showcase him, calling him boring. And I just feel like with the Rigondeaux, in situations like this, a lot of people give him shit and give him flack for really being too good. He's almost like ostracized based on him being an exciting fighter because sometimes other fighters don't have the skill set or the wherewithal to bring out the best of him, I guess you could say. I'm not saying he's not trying, but because they can't make it a competitive fight, therefore people will try to slander him in any way possible. Oh, Rigondeaux was running. He's scared. Um, he's a boring fighter because you knew he's surgical. Like Denzel said in Training Day, you know I'm surgical with this bitch, Jake. He's just really surgical. I liken him to like a Bret the Hitman Hart in wrestling. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. He's very technically proficient. And again, when people um, can't figure you out, it becomes a boring fight because after a couple rounds, you just automatically assume that this is going to be the outcome. There's no way that this fighter can bounce back. But it's boxing; anything can happen. That's why I like this matchup. Like Beko has, I guess, the style to compete with a Rigondeaux and perhaps make him or force him to fight a different fight that Rigondeaux doesn't necessarily want. This was a really easy prediction for me to make. In this prediction, I'm picking Rigondeaux. I just think he's too quick, he's too accurate, and he's too slippery. He's a southpaw. Um, he has some of the best defense in the game. His connect percentage is among the highest in the game. And I mean, anytime a guy comes out the gates from amateur to pro, and within 12 fights, they're dethroning someone who is ranked in the top 10 pound for pound list, aka Nonito Donaire, that tells you a lot. I mean, this was a guy who hadn't lost. Nonito Donaire was like he lost one time in his career, I believe, and he was on a 30 win streak or something crazy. He had power that was just like pulverizing his opponents. People like Jorge Arce, who's a warrior and is not really going to necessarily give up unless you beat him to submission, like a Vic Darchinyan or something. And Rigondeaux made it look fairly easy. So I just all around see Rigondeaux being the sharper fighter. He's been a little bit more active. Joseph Agbeko's been a little bit MIA. We haven't seen much of him in high profile fights, so that inactivity I think comes into play. Props to Agbeko for taking such a stiff opponent coming off of a long layoff. It's not necessarily the best thing for your career, but props to him for having the cojones to do it. I think that inactivity is going to hurt him. Some people are like, oh, but Ego, he's with Roger Mayweather. What do you think? That's cool. Roger Mayweather's hell of a trainer. But at the end of the day, the trainer can only do so much. Trainer can't fight for you in the fight. They can only like steer you in the right direction. Just kind of like your parents. If you're a teenager, your parents can try to raise you right and give you the right upbringing, teach you lessons, but ultimately It's up to each individual to determine what's right or wrong, or what they do, if they do drugs, or if they have sex, or whatever the situation is. So boxing's no different. The trainer can only do so much. Roger Mayweather, hell of a trainer, but a lot of people have this notion that you can just partner with the trainer, like, oh, I'm with Virgil Hunter now, I'm the best, I have a defense now, or I'm with Freddie Roach, I'm an exciting fighter. Like, these things take time to build. You have to usually develop a chemistry, kind of like LeBron when he first went to Miami Heat. That's why they didn't win the championship. They didn't really establish the roles. The role players didn't really know if it was Dwayne Wade's team, or if it was LeBron James's team, who to defer the ball to in clutch pivotal moments, that kind of stuff. So the first year, as you've seen, the Dallas Mavericks took it to him and beat him, but they came back stronger and they kind of worked out some of the bugs, and they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. So partnering with the new trainer, stuff like that, it takes time to develop how you guys work together, or doing mitt work. I mean, that's all as good sparring, great, but it's different when you're actually fighting, especially a fighter like Rigondeaux. You have to be at your best, unless Rigondeaux just had a shitty training camp, or just wasn't focused or prepared or something like that. But from what he showed in his 12 fights, I mean, the dude's vicious. And a lot of people don't, they call him boring or whatever, but this dude has a mean streak. And I've seen it in his fights. And another thing that I would be fearful for if I was an opponent of Rigondeaux is I've seen Rigondeaux hurt, which leads people to believe, even myself, I was like, man, this dude is kind of chinny. Um, the thing is, he has a immaculate poker face. So even when you get him hurt, he's really good with holding it together and keeping himself composed. I seen it in the Roberto Marroquin fight. Um, he was kind of showboating and toying, and then he got caught. Marroquin, also being a fighter who I believe beat Gary Russell Jr. and Adrian Broner in the amateurs, so a solid fighter, um, had his step up challenge against Rigondeaux, hurt him at one point, had him buzz, and Rigondeaux composed himself like, okay, enough of the jokes, and then just really got back to the game plan. So that's dangerous. A fighter that can knows how to react in those pivotal moments where others would panic. Like, I hate to use him as an example, but some examples just come to mind, like an Amir Khan. In the past, I've seen Amir Khan hurt, and anyone who has a set of eyes, even Stevie Wonder could see Amir Khan's hurt, is because of how he acts. He gets on his bicycle, he looks frantic, his game plan kind of goes out the window, he doesn't know what to do, he's like running around the ring, like he looks petrified, and he looks like he's holding on for dear life. But with Rigondeaux, night and day, totally different, very cool, calm, and collected, and that's pretty dangerous, especially when you got a guy who's accurate counterpuncher, sharpshooter. So I just think Rigondeaux's a bit too much for Agbeko. Another thing is Rigondeaux, personality-wise, he seems like a tough dude. I mean, anybody who leaves their family back in Cuba to deflect to the U.S. And just deals with everything that the Cubans have to deal with over in Cuba, says a lot. You definitely have to be a patient and a strong individual to deal with some of those terms, things that people in the U.S. probably take for granted. Similar to back in the slave days, where families were split up and torn apart. That's not easy. It takes a certain mental fortitude to overcome obstacles like that, and keep fighting and stay focused for the greater good. So props to Rigondeaux for that. I know he had to leave his family and his kid behind. So he doesn't seem like a fighter like a Zab Judah or something who's gonna mentally break down. So to me, Agbeko's only chance to win would be to kind of beat Rigondeaux into submission. And how do you do that against a guy who plays it off so well, stays composed, and is lightning quick with accurate counter punches with power, and he's a southpaw. So I just ultimately think Agbeko will probably be stopped. Rigondeaux's not the fastest starter. He's not going to just come out there with guns blazing, unless he has like a different MO, different mindset based on the flack that he's got from networks and top rank. Hopefully he doesn't let that get to him too much, to the point where he fights a dumb fight like Timothy Bradley did against Ruslan. Like, yo, I'm gonna prove to these people that I'm tough and I can fight. Because Timothy Bradley, he almost got knocked out for his troubles, and that would have got him nowhere. That would have got him a blemish on his record, and probably some memes made fun of him and stuff like that. So for Rigondeaux, hopefully he smarts, hopefully he fights smart, sticks to his regular game plan, and if he does that, I just see him beating Agbeko. Again, the inactivity from Agbeko. It's cool that he's working with Roger Mayweather, but stuff like that takes time, and a lot of people don't realize this. But Roger Mayweather, great trainer, but his nephew Floyd is an anomaly. Like Floyd is very good with processing. Plus, they've worked together since Mayweather was a kid, at some form of fashion. That's his family, so he kind of knows what to say to his nephew, how to approach his nephew. I mean, that's family, so it's different. That chemistry is kind of built in. Like Mayweather said himself, he said, "Me and my uncle Roger, we got a lifetime contract, no paper." Same thing with Floyd Mayweather Sr. and his son. I mean, they're family, so that I'm sure they know how to get the most out of their relationship, I guess you will. Other relationships require chemistry and time to develop. And another thing is Floyd Mayweather, some of his best attributes are naturally. I mean, that he naturally possesses speed. The speed, you can improve your speed, but you can't just take someone who's Brandon Rios slow and turn them into a Pacquiao or a Mayweather where they're just lightning quick all around, and it just doesn't happen like that. So, Agbeko, again, solid fighter. He could make this interesting. I definitely don't think he's a pushover or a bum, but I just think the inactivity and the sharpshooter mentality of a guy like Rigondeaux just beats Agbeko through and through. So I have Rigondeaux winning, probably by late stoppage. Like I said, Rigondeaux's not the fastest fighter. He's conservative at times. He's not going to take unnecessary risk. You're again talking about a guy who has an extensive amateur background. Um, his left hand is money. He has power. I just see him beating Agbeko. So my prediction is for a TKO or KO stoppage somewhere between round 6 through 9. I want to say. I just see the ring rust and everything amounting and becoming too much to the point where the corner has to stop it or the ref has to stop it or something. But Rigo all the way. Hopefully we see some other fights from Rigo. Maybe move up to 126. Have Rigo rematch Nonito Donaire at whatever weight. See what that's looking like. And let me know what you guys think. Rigo, or Joseph Agbeko. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.